How's the weather? Kind of overcast and chilly out today, which is my kind of weather. I like it when it's colder. It's not frickin' 25 degrees anymore, like it's been the last few days. Kind of chilly in the UK today as well. Right on. This isn't where I saved. Hold on. This is where I saved. I was doing some experimentation, doing respecking off stream just to see what it was like. I guess it auto-saved when I did that. So yeah, when we left off, we'd finished clearing off this place, the first island. We did all the quests and everything we could find here. We got our boat repaired. We got a boat now. And yeah, it's time to start exploring the bigger world. So first thing I want to do is go on the deck of our boat and see what exactly is going on with this thing here. Well, on the deck of your ship, you can select this button to access the world map. Okay. Little Luca? Who's this? Ahoy there, Captain.
Agrasima Casita for taking me on.
Right.
Well, that's the guy we got this guy out of prison. He joined our crew. The mariner salutes. The sea's no piece of glass, but I've sailed far worse.
Ahoy, Captain. Truth be told, Ferrante half expects us to get our asses blown out of the water at Fort Deadlight. Fortunately for you, I have this bad habit of beating the odds. Of course, I do that by way of good old traditional chicanery. And the most important part of any hornswoggle? Solid planning. Well, that and surviving.
It seems like a Desix book. I'm not sure yet. We literally just got the boat, so. But I suspect that this is the new stronghold kind of thing. What can you tell me about Fort Deadlight?
Valiant made originally. Piled them stones up a few centuries back, but gave it up when the fishmen wouldn't leave them be. Hard to defend against Wilder crawling up out of your crappers. Captain Aldiz claimed it a few years back. Fucking filthy from bow to stern. And she had her lads and lasses cleaning fish shit out of the floorboards for months. A couple of them thought it might be better sailing elsewhere and left in the night. Aldi's tracked them down quick as you like, took their heads, and fixed them into little lanterns for the front gate. Called them Fort Deadlight's Deadlights.
His nose twitches.
They say she ain't had a deserter since. Tad cruel for my taste. But I admit to admiring the wordplay.
Do you know anything about the fort's defenses?
Funny thing about it being a fort means it ain't a boat. Means it don't have to worry about the way the cannons are storing honking big balls. Guns they got crowning that castle put a hole in your poop deck before you've sighted land.
He sighs and scuffs his boot against the floor.
Fort itself be floored of ceiling rum-sodden fools, so that be going for us. But Aldi's keeps the crew on the walls sharp and sober. One blast of their horns and Deadlight's locked up tight as an endearing mugger night. We'll stay that way too, till any unfamiliar ships have been shot to shit and shot again.
What do you know of Eldis?
Yeah, she's sharp as shit, that one. Tongue, mind, and ears alike. Sailed out of Deerwood or Adir one. Knows her knots, and how to crew a ship that won't turn sour. The words ring out among the Principe, more than you'd think for new blood. Part of that's her fierce support of freedom, from slavers, from the empires, from the Juana's caste system even. The rest a lenient hand. Step out of line and Ferrante's got your old crew up for lashes. Aldiz, though, she's, let's say there's a reason she attracts limp-cocked nut twists like Benwith. Can't say I much approve of a lack of regard for our traditions, but, can't say I don't share her vexations with Ferrante and the old garden either.
He runs a furred paw over his braided beard. Shouldn't the Principe do something about Aeldus?
Ah, the Principe's no fleet. More a mishmash of fiercely independent captains. A lot of them take to one another like sharks to krakens. But we be bound by the slippery slip knots of tradition. Even those bucking tradition cooperate for protection against our enemies. Many of the old guard have died off, though, and the new blood flooding in be less the civil sort.
You mentioned you have contacts at the fort. Can we rely on their help?
Oh, I did say contacts, didn't I?
Seraphin rubs the back of his head as he takes a sudden studious interest in his boots.
Contact would be more accurate, in the singular. A lass by the name of Ciri. Been running the same circles for years, doldrums and fair winds. We're never family, but never on the wrong ends of arms, neither. Might have shaken the sheets a few months back. Regardless of how she feels about me, there's no love lost betwixt her and Benwith, that's for damn certain.
Your contact is some random lover of yours?
Random? What do you take me for, Captain?
More useful than you look.
Oh, mighty kind of you, Captain, given how useful I look.
Seraphin winks his thumbs in his belt. Let's go over the plan to get into Fort Deadlight.
Deadlight's a tough coconut to crack. But if not cracking, what are nuts for?
I think this calls for a clever approach.
Smart play for crashing any party involves scavenging yourself up an invite, and then dressing to impress.
He puffs out his chest, thumbs tucked into the fine fabric of his shirt. He likes tucking his thumbs into various orifices. Fort Deadlight sends out invitations.
No, Captain, they do not.
He rubs the bridge of his nose and sighs.
Looking the part in this case means hoisting colours identifying us as Principe.
His left ear twitches.
Don't have to tell you how dangerous such a bit of fabric can be if the wrong person catches you flying it.
How hard could it be to purchase a flag?
Well, Principe captains don't just give up their flags for a few coins.
He scratches his rump, head cocked one side.
Neketaka's black market. If there be a Principe flag for sale, it'll be there. Mark it up and relocates every so often to avoid the Royal Guard. We'll just have to find wherever it currently be anchored.
We can attack a Principe ship and capture their flag.
Swapping cannonballs with my fellow Principe ain't my favourite idea you've ever had. But do what you have to do, Captain. Might be tricky to not damage the flag in battle, or sink the ship on accident.
We have a plan, let's get on with it.
Aye, Captain. Looking forward to watching you work.
He rubs his palms together.
How may I be of service, my lord?
How did I get a ship in the first place?
With Cadnua in ruins, there was little purpose in waxing sentimental over the rubble. I was able to salvage enough of your treasure and wealth to afford the purchase of the Defiant and the hire of a small crew. Unfortunately, that consumed the remainder of your once considerable assets. Under the circumstances, I hoped you would not object.
What should I do
I
next?
suggest we proceed to Neketaka, my lord. It is the largest city in Deadfire, and we shall be better able to get our bearings there.
Okay. What new shores are we setting sail for today? The mythic blade of the catacombs of Cade Nua was destroyed when Eothas emerged from beneath the keep. The shards are no longer of use to anyone, unless they could be reforged. This weapon may be fated to become even more than it was. Nice. Fragments of the Whispers of Yenwood. Despite being utterly destroyed with the devastation of Cade Nua, the sword known as the Whispers of Yenwood has once again found its way into the possession of the keep's road warden, albeit in pieces. It would take a smith of some talent to reforge the weapon. With the right materials, however, perhaps the sword can become even greater than it once was. Cool. letter from Afra. Centaur, I hope this letter finds you in good health. It has been many summers now since you first arrived in Gilded Vale. Much has changed in those years for both of us. I do not know if you remember me, but the day you came to my door is not one I will forget. For months afterwards, I wrestled with my faith and my fear. And still the gods have blessed me with a son. He is healthy and strong, and already so curious. All of Gilded Vale dotes upon him. I have told him of you. He asks constantly after the Watcher who restored his spirit and hopes one day to meet you. Till then, know that we keep you in our prayers. Your most grateful servant, Afra. Don't remember who that is at all. Oh well. Apparently I restored the soul to her kid at some point.
With every soul, my lantern's getting heavier and heavier in my hand.
How you feeling? Have you suffered any recent nightmares?
They're there in my head when I sleep. And sometimes I can taste them on the back of my tongue like a smear of grit. Happens when I take in a particularly volatile soul.
What are you gonna do?
Go madder than I already am? I don't rightly know. It's not like I can turn my back on my duty to my god, even if it kills me. Tell me what's on your mind? Sure thing, Watcher.
Need something, Captain? The mariner salutes.
Thank you again for maintaining my story in front of Vanessa and the others.
He gives you a grateful smile that fades almost as quickly as it appears.
I didn't enjoy deceiving them, but it seemed simpler than the alternative.
Are you still thinking of Vanessa?
I realized there could be nothing between us. But it was nice to have a friend all the same.
I thought we were friends.
You stood with me through more than anyone I've ever known.
He clasps his hands together, working his fingers into a tight knot.
But a lot has happened over the last 5 years.
So tell me.
After we parted, I set out to destroy the Leaden Key. It's controlled us for too long. I wanted to free Kith from it.
For anybody watching, not familiar with the first game, the Leaded Key is like a cult of evil wizards. They're like the main bad guys of the first game.
So for 5 years, I've been tracking down Leaden Key circles, searching for the places where they operate in secret.
He knits his brows.
Trying to undo them.
And how's that been going?
The task has been more difficult than I anticipated. I don't think I fully understood the weight of the decisions I would have to make. Or the burden of living with them. It was much easier when I only had to follow someone else's lead. My father's, Theos's, yours.
Glances at you out of the corner of his eye. Idrazak, how's my build doing? So far, I haven't had any real issues. But we're still, like, super early, so we'll see. What do you mean?
After we defeated Theos, I thought the hard part of undoing his work would be tracking down the Leaden Key's members and operations.
What?
Perhaps this would be easier with an example. I went to a village in Old Valia, a run-down backwater of a place. Centuries ago, the Leaden Key had intervened to end some heretical cult. The details were lost, but what had endured was a practice of ritual bloodletting. A gruesome, pointless tradition.
He grimaces.
At every full moon, the villagers would feed the soil with their blood. No one, young or old, sick or hale, was exempt.
What did you do?
The village priest administered the practice. Grim old fellow. Reminded me of Theos.
He raises an eyebrow at you.
He was a tyrant. I was certain that if the villagers were free of his influence, they'd be free from the bloodletting too. So I arranged for him to have an accident.
Gives you a sly look. And then?
The old man died, and the villagers were terrified. They were convinced his death was an ill omen. They blamed it, and every other mishap that befell them, on their lack of faith. So they began bloodletting every week, turning on their neighbors for giving too little.
His lips twist, as if the words themselves have a bitter taste.
Instead of a handful dying each year, a few perished every week.
He's worked the edge of his sash into a tight knot. He clenches it between pale, rigid fingers. You couldn't have known what would happen. This isn't your fault.
I had to do something, didn't I?
He turns to you with wide, anguished eyes. He pauses again, untwisting the sash at his lap.
I keep wondering what I might have done differently, or how I could have known better.
Villagers chose this. They're to blame, not you.
I suppose so. I should get some rest. It's been a long day, and you've given me a lot to think about.
Wait, you still haven't told me what the Animancers have to do with any of this.
Ah, that.
Massages his temples.
I'm looking for an old Leaden Key sect. I've found several references, but
He breaks off, shaking his head.
I want to be sure. Please, let me go over my notes again. Then I promise I'll tell you everything.
We'll talk more later then. Alright.
Hey, this brings back some memories, huh?
What are your thoughts on Aethys at the moment?
I want the destruction to stop. I want him to finish what he's doing and then go in peace. Only I don't see it playing out that way. If you like.
What'd you do after we ended the legacy?
I like that feeling, knowing we'd stop Theos. We were part of something big. That was something I never felt before, not even at war. Guess I went looking for it again. Not that I wanted to tangle with gods, but something smaller. Something I thought I could manage. Well, there's a group of Aethasians in Deerwood, the night market. Go around helping other Aethasians in secret. Sort of like the Leaden Key, guess you could say. Except not a bunch of craven lunatics. So this one night I'm at a tavern and this fella has a disagreement with me. Game of Orland's head he'd lost some money at. And I'm bashing his head into the target when he notices I got this pendant with a symbol of Aethys on it. So we get to talking and it turns out he's an alright fella. Runs with the night market. And after he was feeling better a month or two later, he introduced me to some folks in the group, and they let me in.
How'd that work out?
Well, it depended. The jobs we did, I got to help a lot of folks. A lot of times it was helping folks get out of bad situations, getting them set up with better ones. I liked that. But the group had problems. A lot of different ideas how to run things. Sometimes it cost the people we were trying to help. And I don't know if that was something we could have avoided, or if it was the cost of trying to fix things.
Okay then. Well, that's everybody on our ship. So let's get sailing. I guess we'll start going to Nekataka first. Which I think is up here, yeah. So we've got Nekataka, Fort Deadlight, Dunnage. I don't know what Dunnage is. Click on the Known Locations drop-down list to bring up a list of places you've discovered. You can also search for a location by name. Ships travel faster in deep water, slower in shallows. The Homaro Oasis. You're sailing past a reef when Beodal shouts out, pointing to port. There lists a ship stranded in the middle, perched on a narrow shoal. It tips and rolls with the passing waves. Hanging from its mast is a blue flag showing an image of a crescent moon sinking beneath the waves. Your crew gathers around, murmuring in low, excited voices. Little Luca rushes to the railing. Captain, that's a gift-bearer ship. No telling what sorts of treasures it's got. Irina snorts. Gift-bearers carry sentimental junk. Worthless stuff. No, that's a smuggler's ship. It's a classic disguise. Ikuk spits in the water. That's a fucking stupid one. Gift-bearers only visit landlocked settlements. That's a trap. Thoughts? Ain't a trap, Captain. Ship be too smashed to shit for that. Might be too smashed to shit for salvage, too. Servant scratches the back of his head as he peers at the vessel. Use a spyglass? We don't have a spyglass. What's that about the gift bearers, Irina? Irina fixes a passive frown at the wreck. No offense, Captain, but the servants of Andra collect things people want to forget and consign them to the sea. Anything gift bearers might be carrying would be stuff nobody wants. Prepare a skiff. We'll have to row it and climb the hull. You row the skiff above the reefs, the waves tossing it, the bottom of the small boat occasionally scraping across the jagged structure below. You tie off on a snag of coral next to the wreck. The water is rough and the hull slick with brine, but you're able to find a purchase between the shifting planks. Climb up. You row the skiff above the reefs, the waves tossing it, the bottom of the small boat occasionally scraping across the jagged structure below. You tie off on a snag of coral next to the wreck. The water is rough, and the hull slick with brine, but you're able to find purchase between the shifting planks. You pull yourself up, using bent planks and barnacles for holds. You've almost reached the main deck when a wave slams against the ship. You hear a crash from somewhere below as your vessel rocks. Your legs slip out from under you, and your fingers dig into wet lumber. Your grip holds. Once the ship settles, you resume your climb and make it to the safety of the deck. The ship is deserted. You don't even find corpses. If the ship had a skiff, it's missing too. Search for salvage. You find several crates of supplies and several more of assorted odds and ends. Handkerchiefs, bead jewelry, cracked scrimshaw, a child's doll. Get some ammo and medicine. You think back to Irina's comments and wonder if this might have been a smuggler's vessel after all. Search for evidence of smugglers. Success. But then you notice scuff marks along the deck, as if the box of junk has been moved repeatedly over the same spot. You slide it aside and find a trapdoor underneath. Within rests a small chest brimming with gold scallions. 23 golden scallion. Among the coins rests a small figurine of an imp, of all things. Laughing imp cameo. We use it once per rest. Summons 2 brine imps. You load your ship onto the skiff and row back. You load your find onto the skiff and row back to your ship. The XP. Alright. That went well. This place is far away, holy cow.
The ring of a bell comes to you on a cold wind. The ring comes again and again, until soon the air is full with the sound of 1,000,000 bells ringing all at once. You feel a resonance in your core, a bell ringing in tune with all the others. Something in you bends, then breaks, and you are borne away on the ringing tide, just another peal among the many. The tide of bells recedes. You lever yourself up onto your knees and realize you have been here before. You stand in Bareth's realm. You are alone. And then, you are not. An indistinct figure stands before you, flickering between forms like a fire-cast shadow. A fixed, taunting grin. Bottomless black eyes. A yawning chasm in the earth. The aspects of Bareth, The Usher and the Pallid Knight shift in and out of focus. And at their back, 4 indistinct shades hover. You feel an eternity stretch out behind each of them, reaching back to places so distant and yet so near you cannot comprehend their size. The shifting image of Bereth settles on the aspect of the Pallid Knight.
Watcher.
She intones. Her voice is the discordant clangor of gongs struck out of time.
I tasked you to discover Aethys's intentions. Tell me what you have learned.
He's draining souls from veins of luminous Audra.
The Pallid Knight knits her brows.
He does not seek to return to the beyond? Intriguing.
Her sickly pale skin pulls tight across the bones of her face, as if the shell of this aspect does not quite fit the impossible creature it contains. The figure nearest Bereth dissolves and reforms in the image of a thin-lipped, ancient crone, whose face has felt the melting kiss of fire. The goddess Wodika strides forward.
Goddess of justice, law, oaths, promises, rulership, vengeance, memory, and hierarchies.
Does Aethys frighten you, Bereth? He should. Magran subdued Aethys's influence once before, and yet he returned.
From out of Wodika's shadow shuffles a hunched, bald man you recognize as the god Scan. His skin is mapped with swollen lash scars, and breath whistles through the ragged hole in his face, where his nose once was.
God of defiance, violent rebellion, secret hatred, covert plots, resentment, and envy.
He does not speak, but stares up at Wodika, with naked loathing plain on his ruined face. Wodika steeples her long, knob-jointed fingers.
We must annihilate Aethys now, before he makes a rash decision we cannot easily annul. A moon would do the job nicely.
Wodika says, and grins.
Given her relationship with the moon, I doubt Audra would approve of that plan.
Wodika throws her head back and laughs. The sound is a dry, rasping bark.
Andra could do with a new act. Her current one has grown rather stale.
Where are the other gods?
They see to their own affairs. You will speak to them in time, should you have the need.
The Pallid Knight says. The figure beside the aspect of Bereth flows forward in a swirling cloud of ash. The ash falls to the tiles and reveals a molten-skinned woman, leaning on a monstrous, wicked-edged broadsword. Magran's glowing lips curl in disdain.
We must find a solution to the problem of Aethys that is neither do nothing, nor destroy the world.
Magran is the goddess of war, fire, transformation, purification, consumption, and trials.
I acted in haste during the Saints' War. You will not goad me into doing the same now. To move against him while his plans are unknown would be the height of foolishness. We must find wisdom in precaution.
Magran says.
And what kind of precautions do you suggest?
Magran looks at you as one might a wayward gob of spit on one's shoe.
It is no business of yours what the gods decide.
Another of the silent figures steps forward, and the warm, golden light of a summer's afternoon spills across your face.
Let's all take a deep, calming breath. Perhaps cooler heads will prevail.
Behind Helia's words, you hear the soft coo of doves.
Goddess of the sky, maternity, creativity, birds, song, invention, language, and the arts.
Aethys has been separated from us for too long. Isn't it possible he intends only to gather enough souls to reclaim his realm in the beyond? He should be welcomed.
Helia says. You look up then into avian eyes. Through them, you see clouds of starlings converge and divide.
What if he intends to betray you?
Helia puts a feathered hand to her chest.
He wouldn't. Betrayal is not in his nature.
Scan shuffles forward.
Yes, yes. We should welcome Aethys's return to the fold. His gratitude we can leverage to cajole him into divulging his plot. Then, when he believes himself to be in our good graces, we do as Wedeka suggests, and crush him into the earth.
Scan licks the ragged edge of his lipless mouth and grins, then turns to Helia.
I did not expect such a deliciously ruthless idea from you, Helia. I am impressed.
Helia's feathered crest stands on end.
You wretched little creature.
I'll just let them fight it
The
out.
Pallid Knight gestures for silence.
Aethys cannot be killed, but he may be subdued. Yet to do so will take immense power and time. Both stand in his favor.
Magrin grits her black glass teeth.
That is why we must ascertain his plans before he has the chance to put them into motion.
She begins to pace. Her steps leave little trails of fire in her wake. Magrin stops and balls her hands into flaming fists.
Even if we manage to destroy his current form, there is the possibility he could return, if he has not already absorbed all of his children.
Absorbed his children? I don't understand.
The Pallid Knight casts a cold, cutting glare in Magrin's direction.
Magrin speaks too freely. That knowledge is beyond your ken, Watcher.
Lorica waves the gods to silence.
Aethys gathers strength. His strength is a threat to us.
Her voice takes on a sharp, almost panicked edge.
There is no sensible answer to the question of a resurgent Aethys other than decisive, final action.
We will act when it is appropriate to do so, and not before.
The Pallid Knight steps away from the half-circle of assembled gods. She pulls herself up to a great height. The words she speaks next come not from her mouth, but from all around you.
Follow him, Watcher.
The black of the Pallid Knight's irises expand until her eyes are as dark and cold as the void between stars. She bends down and brings her ghostly face level with your own.
Your debt to me remains unpaid.
This is bullshit.
She stares at you, unblinking. Like a needle drawn to a magnet, you are pulled toward her one compulsory step at a time. Helpless to resist, you tumble into her impossible eyes. You fall wildly, endlessly, unable to find your bearings or slow your spin. And in the distance, above, no, behind you, comes an insistent ringing. You angle yourself toward it, searching for the sound. A small silver bell appears just inches from your fingertips. You reach for it, straining to still its interminable ringing. The moment you touch it, your soul slams into your body with all the force of a fall.